What's going on, guys? Brock back with his first video review in almost a year. Uh, Maybe half a year, because the last review I did was the Dark Knight Returns Batman figure, which was back in March of this year, actually, as a matter of fact. So 2013 has been a pretty decent year for games. I would say, according to most people, it was The Last of Us that was the big game winner for them. For me personally, because I don't own a PlayStation 3, it was actually this game, Batman Arkham Origins. Now, this game gets a lot of crap, has not gotten good reviews. Well, I can't say it hasn't gotten good reviews. It's got mixed reviews. From 6s to 7s to 8s. Definitely does not live up to par to the previous two, or I should say the later two, since this game is a prequel. But in no way is it a terrible game. And to celebrate, I'm doing a review of the Arkham Origins figures. Unfortunately, though, this was the only one I could get my hands on because it was the one I wanted first before any of the others. And I thought, hey, Batman is going to be a figure that, I'll just find on the shelves because, the other Batman figures weren't that hard to find. I was kidding myself, guys. I was kidding myself. He's actually the most sought-after figure of the wave. And according to other reviews, this guy here is you only get one in a box or something like that. So that's pretty sad. I might have to order him online along with the rest of the wave to get those reviews done. But you watch my reviews, you know who my favorite DC villain is, or Batman Rogues Gallery villain. And yeah, it's Bane. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Arkham Origins Bane figure by DC Collectibles. I'll set him off to the side first. We're going to talk about him, but we're going to get the packaging out of the way, since I really took the liberty of taking him out. So we have the packaging here. His packaging differs from the rest of them. I'll do a comparison when I get a hold of the other figures, but here he comes in this bigger box, since he is a bigger figure. You get a backdrop of Gotham City during Christmas Eve, the snow falling, of course. Arkham Origins Bane action figure. You got the Batman logo at the top there, and really cool window box up top here. This little window shaped like the bat symbol. Very cool. On the side, you get both of the same picture, which is the Batman profile that we have on the front cover of the game, and that does carry over onto the other side. Back of the package just shows the almost like a character select screen in a fighting game. You got the 4 characters of the first wave. You got Batman, Joker, Black Mask, and Bane. This is probably the weakest figure, but I'll get into that when I review the figure. But a lot of other people have said this is the weakest, and like I said, I'll explain that. We then get a read-up of pretty much the game and this whole wave here. You could pause that. But yeah. That is packaging, and these are all sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. They've actually have been the studio behind some of the Marvel Select figures, such as the Avengers figures, from what I remember. So that is the packaging, and onto the figure. And here's Bane out of the packaging. One of the things that really drew me to him was his design for this game. Early pictures of screenshots from the game showed him with his black leather jacket on, and at first I was like, okay, he looks kind of cool. I don't see him sporting Venom or anything like that. I was kind of taking into consideration that he did remove the jacket, but they didn't really show anything like that until the final product of the game, because I didn't really watch any of the teasers, or I only watched the main trailer, and then whatever you saw in excuse me, I'm losing my train of thought, in the screenshots for the game. But they did release pictures of the DC Collectibles figures, and then lo and behold, I saw Bane. Pretty much just like this. And I was like, holy crap, that is sick looking. And it really is. Gentle Giant Studios did a phenomenal job capturing that look of Bane from the video game. It's just a really cool design. They implement the Dark Knight Rises design into Bane, and they're actually doing that in the comics too now. As a matter of fact, they've actually given him a more military type of look, tactical vest, and he's got all these belts and stuff, and his grenades and whatnot, and it is kind of cool because Bane is kind of, he's always been a soldier and he's always been like, a head honcho type of guy who would just, he doesn't fuck around and he just takes matters. He sees something, he's got to go for it. He's kind of like a Julius Caesar type of deal. And people have betrayed him too, so kind of funny. But yeah, I'm actually in love with this design. You see here that he's more of the battle tactician before he becomes the brooding monster we see in the later games. But very cool design. The back is probably my favorite part about the whole costume. Just the venom tubes connecting, and the type of green that they use, it's like a neon lime green, which is very nice, especially if you're trying to go for the glowing venom effect. You know how it runs through his veins and it's kind of glowing. He does have that going on in the game too. Over here you see he's got like this pressure gauge. Very cool. Pumping all the venom into him. And then he's kind of got like venom bleeding from his neck here. And I actually really, really like this. How the tubes are like surgically implanted through his neck. I actually did a drawing of Bane, like in my own kind of design. And instead of having the venom kind of like the tubes kind of connected from his outfit into his neck, are actually in his skin. Like he's been operated on, and they kind of implemented that with this figure, which I think is really neat. But as I've said, the sculpting on this guy is awesome. Over onto the face here, and one of the things I've always kind of been on the fence about was the showing of his mouth and nose with his masks. The first time they did that was in the animated series, where he looked more like a straight out, luchador wrestler. But I think it works here in this game. And I think it also worked in Arkham Asylum Origins, just because they really showed like his facial expressions through the mask. It also doesn't look like the symbol is sewed on like the old style luchador mask is. It's more painted over like this winter type of mask, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the paint job on that too is also phenomenal. The paint job in general on this guy is just really well done. The sculpting I really like. By far, this is my favorite Bane figure of the DC Collectibles Arkham figure. Articulation on this guy is where it kind of suffers. And I hate to say it too, because I am really in love with this guy. Heads on a ball joint. The only problem is you can't get him to look down, and that's really a shame because you can't really do any of those side-by-side Batman and Bane shots where Batman's looking up at Bane and then Bane's looking back down at him, because like you can't really have that look. But I mean, it's not a problem. You can't have his head up, side to side slightly, but it's not a big deal. Arms is where he kind of suffers also. He's kind of got like he's wearing this really puffy snowsuit kind of deal going on. Kind of like Ralphie's brother in Christmas Story, Randy, where he can't really pull his arms in. They're just kind of out like that. And that's also kind of a shame because I think they really could have done more with that. Arms do fully rotate around a pin socket. He doesn't have any rotation in the bicep, which is understandable. He got all these tubes. He rotates at the elbow. He bends at the elbow. But one thing you want to take into consideration when you open this guy is moving this around really takes this tube out of him. It's not the end of the world when it comes out because it does peg right back in, but I might end up gluing it, which does kind of suck. But, I mean, it's not really noticeable. Plus, he's got all these other tubes. He doesn't have to worry about one being cut. This one also does tend to pop out, but it also plugs right back in. And then I'd say, besides that, I think all the other ones are just fine. As long as you leave them alone, you don't mess around with them too much. This arm also does fully rotate, but then he's also got this band here that might kind of stress and break eventually if you move the arm all the way back and such, which you really shouldn't have any reason to. He's got a bend in the elbow here as well, and the rotation there. He's got full rotation in the wrists. I've had reports and heard people say that this wrist is usually really, really loose when he comes out of packaging. Mine, fortunately enough, isn't very loose, just a tad bit, but not enough where it's like jiggles around when I move them. There's nothing in the upper ab area, nothing in the waist, but that would really take away from the sculpting, which is fine. And like I said, the sculpting detail and everything here is really, really well done. You got all the belts there and such. Legs, here's another thing. This is another part where the figure suffers. This guy can go forward, it can go back, it can go out, but it gets hindered by the sculpting of his little pouch here. Both unfortunately suffer from that. This leg, I'm going to get to that in just a second. Knees do bend, not too much though. He rotates at the knee and he then rotates at the boot. Moving on here, like I said before, this grenade. This is kind of a bitch right here. This could have been a nice soft plastic, and it could have been something maybe they should have raised a little higher on him, or have a peg hole that you stick in there. Because as far as this goes, this leg can move forward. This one really can't because this is in the way. I understand they're going for, you know, trying to go for the full likeness of the character by having everything where it should be, but this really kills the articulation. Now, aside from the articulation kind of being very, very off on the legs, it's not a bad figure overall. It is a great figure. It's got a phenomenal sculpt and a really well done paint job. He is definitely a must for this collection. I mean, he really is, you know, a great figure. And that's one thing you gotta always look at is maybe their articulation might not be as good, but that's why so many statuettes and things like that do so well, because they put a lot of time into the detail and the artwork and stuff like that, and the sculpting. And this figure is no exception. This guy is sick. He's definitely better articulated than the Arkham Asylum Bane that we got with the Wave 1 for, or Wave 2 for the Arkham Asylum figures. But we do have a new Bane in the works, or I should say already out, for the 2-pack with Batman, which is the DC Collectibles Arkham City pack, which I really want to get to do a side-by-side comparison with the Series 2 Arkham Asylum Bane. But overall, this is a sick figure. Really, really recommend picking him up. You can definitely find him. He's definitely more locatable, if that's a word, than the Batman. So I would say get this guy. He's definitely a 9.5 to me, or a 9, just because he's Bane. But, you know, for most of the part, he's, you know, a solid 8, 7.5 kind of deal. But really nice figure. Really recommend picking him up, and I really recommend you checking out Batman Arkham Origins. Great game, great series, and yeah, really hope you enjoyed this review, guys. This was the DC Collectibles Batman Arkham Origins Series 1 Bane, sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. Batman Arkham Origins is a game that I really, really recommend you check out. It's not good as Arkham City. People like Arkham Asylum more than it as well, but I actually prefer it over Asylum. And it actually, I think, in my opinion, is the hardest of the Batman games. But yeah, guys, thanks for checking this guy out. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you're new. You don't know who I am, I'm AntiBrock. I've got a bunch of videos been posting since 2007 or 2008, around there. Maybe I'm lying, it's later. I honestly forget the date of my original video. But I've been posting videos for a while. I've got 161 videos, roughly, from the count. Check out my channel if you haven't. I haven't been posting for quite some time, so this is my first figure review in 6 months. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to comment, subscribe, like I said. And guys, I will catch you all later. Peace out, and have a happy day.